Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. Kind of. I mean, it is. There's football, but all of the people have gone. Paul has decided he can do it. He can man that fort. He can hold back the tide. He can do the football podcast on his own. So, collectively, we're going to find out what that looks like together. Because, I wasn't there. So, before we start, to show our support, we should like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where we can leave a review. And, really get behind and say, I like this. I'm going to pass it on to a friend. And they're going to pass it on to a friend. And so on. Anyway, let's get started and find out. How did Paul do? Give him a big thumbs up if you like this version of the football podcast. And here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what is a slightly different podcast for you this week. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties on my end, I was unable to provide a visual element to the podcast, and due to some scheduling conflicts, unfortunately, the other three gentlemen were unable to join me this week, so just me. So it's going to be a little quicker, a little shorter than usual podcasts. But we'll still bring you the information you need to know from a Middlesbrough, Hull and Nottingham Forest perspective. So we'll start with the games from last week, the first of which saw Blackburn Rovers take on Middlesbrough on the Friday evening game. This one started with quite a bang. On the second minute, Borough took the lead. The ball was flicked on from Kelechi Iheanacho into the path of Tommy Conway, and Tommy Conway took what could only be described as a delicious touch with the outside of his right boot to flick it around the oncoming defender. He would then spun the defender, latched onto the ball and bounced to the edge of the box and lashed home with his left foot at the delightful finish past the despairing lunge of Ainsley Pears to make it 1-0 to the Borough. On 8 minutes, it was 2-0, the goal has been credited to Samuel Illing Jr., but I believe it's more likely to have gone down as a Danny Bart own goal. Again, it was Kelechi Iheanacho who had the ball at his feet on the edge of the box, spotted Illing Jr. making a run up from left back to around the edge of the D on the 18-yard box. His shot cannoned off Danny Bart and changed the direction of the ball so that the ball went flashing past Ainsley Pears into the back of the net, and that's how the game finished. 2-0 to the Borough. Good result for the Borough, not so much for Blackburn. I believe that was their 7th loss in a row, losing form at just the wrong time for the playoff push. Predictions-wise, Stuart had gone for a 1-1 draw with Ohashi to score for Blackburn and Conway to score for the Borough, so gets himself a bonus point for the Conway goal. I'd gone for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. Gay to score for Blackburn, Conway and Iheanacho over the Borough goals, so I get myself 2 points. Mr. Cook had the score bang on, 2-0. Azaz and Iheanacho with the goals, so gets 2 points for the correct scoreline there. Second game, Sheffield Wednesday versus Hull City. This one didn't have an awful lot happen for the first 93 minutes. There was a couple of chances for each team, a couple of saves from the keepers, not a great deal to write home about, but then on the 94th minute, Hull got a free kick just inside the Sheffield Wednesday half, and the ball was clipped in from Lincoln, not a name we've heard too much of on the podcast, but his clipped ball to the edge of the box was met with an absolute bullet header from centre-half Charlie Hughes, one of those headers that just stays headed and went thudding into the top left-hand corner of the keeper's net. Absolutely no chance for the keeper there. So short and sweet on that one, but a 1-0 Hull City win. I'd gone for a 2-2 draw and didn't predict Hughes as the goal scorer, so no points for me. Same for Stu. He'd gone for a 1-1 draw and didn't predict Hughes as his goal scorer. Mr. Cook, he's done it again, ladies and gentlemen. He had a 0-1 Hull City win. Sadly, Crooks was his goal scorer, not Hughes. So he does get 2 points for the correct score, but no extras for bonus goal scorers. Third game of the week took us to 5:30 on Saturday to see Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. And we were hoping for a Nottingham Forest win to complete the triumvirate there of all 3 wins for our teams. But sadly, it was not to be the case. 13 minutes in, Forest found themselves 1-0 down with a Morgan Rogers goal. Ball clipped over the top from Yuri Tielemans into the path of Rogers. He took one touch to control and then fired low under the goalkeeper, Matt Sells, to make it 1-0. And I believe the Aston Villa fans were still celebrating when on the 15th minute it was 2-0. Ian Matson found himself wide on the left-hand side. His ball across the 6-yard box for Daniel Marlon had managed to make his way almost 2 yards out to bundle the ball home to make it 2-0 to Villa. Nico Williams had a chance to get a goal back for Forest, but unfortunately the shot he took was flashed wide when it seemed much easier to get his shot on target. But Forest did get themselves back into the game on the 57th minute, and Jota Silva notched a goal for the club, for the team. Nico Williams again, his ball in from the left hand side. Found Silva, but unfortunately Elliot Anderson and him were both going for the same ball and managed to collide with each other. However, Silva did manage to keep his composure, came out with the ball and finished it across the keeper into the far corner to make it 2-1. Forest pushed for the equaliser, but sadly it was not forthcoming. So a 2-1 win for Aston Villa. We don't get the clean sweep of wins for our teams, sadly. Predictions wise, I went for a 1-1 draw with Asensio and Gibbs-White, so no points for me. Andy had gone for a 2-0 Forest win, Gibbs-White and Elanga, so no points for him. Stuart had gone for a 1-1 draw as well, Gibbs-White for Forest, but did have a Rogers goal for Aston Villa, so does manage to bang himself a bonus point for the goal scorer there. So 1 point for Stu, no points for the rest of us. Our fourth game of the week saw Watford taking on Hull City. Hull almost found themselves 1-0 down within about 40 seconds in this one. I believe it was Sissoko that had the shot that crashed off the bar. Keeper was absolutely nowhere near it, but it did hit the bar and did manage to stay out, thankfully for a Hull perspective. Sadly, that wasn't the case on the 55th minute, when a ball was clipped in from the left-hand side by Wiley, which met by Sissoko. Now, to try and explain this finish to people who haven't seen it, it was almost as if he was trying to flick the ball in with the outside of his right heel. It came off and it went in the back of the net. So not on a very unorthodox finish from Mr. Sissoko, but yes, nevertheless, a goal for Watford to make it 1-0, and sadly Hull were not able to get back into the game, so it did finish 1-0 to Watford. A blow to Hull's hopes of getting themselves further away from the relegation zone, but fingers crossed, hopefully they will still have enough to keep themselves up at the end of the season. It wasn't much better for me from a predictions perspective. I'd gone for a 2-1 Hull win. Didn't have Sissoko as my Watford goal scorer, so no points for me. Andy, similar, he's gone for a 1-1 draw. Didn't have Sissoko as his Watford goal scorer, so no points there. Stu does get the consolation prize of a 1-0 Watford win as his prediction, so get 2 points there. He sadly also did not have Sissoko as the goal scorer. He had Czech Tadze, so just has to stay with the 2 bonus points there. So it moves him to 4 for the week so far. Andy's also on 4 for the week. I'm floundering back in last place on 2 points. So that leaves us with the last game of the week, and it was the biggie. It was Middlesbrough versus Leeds United. Leeds went into this on the back of some rocky form. Middlesbrough, one of the form teams in the league. So of course, after 2 minutes, Leeds found themselves 1-0 up. More's the pity. Ball from Junior Firpo down the left-hand side released at Maynor Solomon, and his square ball into around the 6-yard box was met by the onrushing Dan James, who made his way up from the right wing spot. He did his best to miss it, but sadly his scuffed effort clipped off the keeper, Matt Travers, and bounced up into the roof of the net to make it 1-0 to Leeds. Should have been 2-0 when Ao Tanaka was incorrectly flagged as offside. A little clipped ball to the back stick He timed his run perfectly, actually, and bundled the ball home, but was flagged for offside. Obviously, if VAR was in place in the Championship, that goal would have stood. And Borough almost equalised themselves when Tommy Conway found himself in the box with the ball at his feet, about 3 yards out from a corner that he was also flagged offside. Sadly, that one was correct. Borough had a lot more chances. Finn Azaz guilty of smashing one over when he should have showed a bit more composure. Delano Bergzorg was the most guilty party. He snatched 2 shots wide when he was quite well situated to at least get an effort on target. And Leeds had a second goal ruled out for offside, which was again incorrect. But thankfully it was given against Patrick Bamford, so all the Borough fans were incredibly happy that Mr Bamford did not notch against his former side. Sadly, Borough huffed and puffed, but were unable to get back into the contest, and it did finish 1-0 to Leeds, disappointingly so. Andy had gone for a 9-0 Middlesbrough win, so doesn't get himself any points there. Stu had gone for a 2-1 Borough win. Conway and Azaz with the goals for the Borough. James with the lead strike, so does get the consolation of the James goal. I too had gone for a 2-2 draw. Azaz, Bergzorg, Aronson and James as my predictions. So I also get a bonus point there, which means I end the week with 3 points from the 5 games. Andy, 4 points from the 5 games, but winning the week, Mr Woodmansey gets 5 points from the 5 games. Well done to him. Obviously, Lee ties in with his not on the podcast, definitely means a win is incoming method of predictions, I suppose is the easiest way to say that. So, week 32 done and dusted. Week 33 brings with it just 1 game per team, the first of which sees Millwall taking on my lot Middlesbrough, Saturday, 3 p.m. Now, both teams go into this with an outside shot. I say an outside shot of the playoffs. They're both in contention for the playoffs. Borough find themselves 2 points outside. Millwall a further 3 points back from Borough. So a very tough game, shall we say, in store for the Borough. Andy doesn't believe that will be, as he's gone for a 2-0 Borough win. Azaz and Bergzorg as his predicted goal scorers. Stu also thinks it'll be a Borough win, but does have Millwall down to score. He's gone for old boy Aaron Connolly to score for Millwall. And he's gone for Iheanacho and Conway to get the Borough goals. I too have gone for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. I've also picked an old boy. However, I've gone for Duncan Watmore to score for Millwall with a Conway and a Bergzorg goal for the Borough. Josh Coburn is playing for Millwall, but obviously he's ineligible to play against his parent team for this one, which will be a big blow for Millwall as he scored the winner against league leaders Sheffield United in their last game. Second game sees Nottingham Forest taking on Everton, and independently of each other, we've all gone for 2-0 wins on this one. I've gone for 2-0 Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. Stu's gone 2-0 Gibbs-White and Elanga, and Andy's gone 2-0 Wood and Gibbs-White. So hopefully it's a 2-0 win for Nottingham Forest, and hopefully some combination of those goal scorers will be the case. And our final game of the week takes place at the MKM Stadium. I'm sure he will be in attendance, but it is a Monday night fixture, so I'm afraid his boys will be unable to attend. Mr Woodmansey, that is Hull City taking on Coventry City. Now, this one has connotations at both ends of the league. Obviously, Hull need the win to keep themselves above the relegation zone. Coventry need the win to keep themselves in the playoff places. I've gone for a 2-1 Hull City win, potentially more in hope than expectation. I've gone for Gelhardt and João Pedro to score for Hull, and Haji Wright to notch for Coventry. Andy has also gone for a home win. He's gone for a 1-0 with Crooks to score the goal. Stu has also gone for a 1-0 home win with João Pedro to notch the goal. So, like I said at the start of the podcast, short and sweet. Obviously, it's just me on my own, just to break down everything that happened last week and bring you the predictions for next week. So slightly different. Apologies that there's no video format to go along with this. It'll be a slightly different one. Like I said, hopefully it should be back to somewhat normal next week. However, unfortunately, I'm unable to join the podcast next week as I'm unavailable. So it should just be the usual other two that will bring you the results from this particular fixture, these particular set of fixtures, and the look forward to the Easter fixtures, the Good Friday and Easter Monday fixtures that'll be in store for our teams. All that's left to do is for me to thank you for listening or watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, obviously there's no delightful pictures of my stupid fat face to go along with it this week. But if you are new here, if you've stumbled across the podcast for the first time, then obviously welcome on board. Thank you very much for listening. We're very appreciative that you've joined us. If you liked what you heard, if you liked what you saw in previous episodes, maybe think about throwing a little subscribe to the channel. It's not just a football podcast we have here. Obviously, we do a wrestling podcast once a month where we break down the previous month's premium live event and look forward to the upcoming premium live event of the month. That's usually falling once a month into your podcast feed. If you've got an interest in wrestling and now it's available on Netflix, I'm assuming that is about 99% of the population. Surely, must be, has to be. If Formula 1 is more your thing, then the boys at the Straight to the Apex podcast bring you that in line with each race that's upcoming this season. I think we're at race number 3 so far. Can Lewis Hamilton do more in a red car than he could in a grey car or whatever colour Mercedes was? The last time I checked, it was greyish. Yes. So if Formula 1 is it's up your street, that's something we've got for you to sink your teeth into. And of course, the leader of the network himself, Mr. Andrew Cook, does his Darkest Timeline podcast, where he breaks down the thoughts and feelings going on in his head. He also discusses the food he's either thought about eating or even potentially eaten that week, his caffeinated beverages of choice, and his non-alcoholic beverages of choice, of which there are many. I should know. I've bought him some in the past, and I've also seen his fridge. It is very well stocked, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you, as always, for tuning in to the podcast. Join us again next week, where we'll go through the results of those 3 games we just predicted today. And like I said, we look forward to the Easter fixtures. Until then, thank you very much once again. Take care of yourselves, keep an eye out for each other, and we will see you in a week's time. Tatty bye for now.
There we go. Didn't he do well? Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for being here. Show Paul your support for this one and say, hey, I like it. And because I like it, I'm going to click that like button. I like it, so somebody else is bound to like it. I'm going to share this one around. I'm going to leave a review and I'm going to say, hey, this one was great. I'm also going to jump to the website, click a social media link, or drop an email and just say, hey, loved it, loved the podcast. Anyway, that's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.